The United States is all in on Africa. All in on Africa. The United States is all in on Angola. We've already, my administration alone, has invested over $3 billion in Angola thus far. The future of the world is here in Africa, in Angola.
Joe Biden recently came to Angola. He's actually the first US president to ever step a foot in Angola. Why Angola, and why is Joe Biden coming to Africa towards the end of his presidential term? America and Angola doesn't have a good relationship since America supported the rebel group over the governmental group during the Civil War. Angola is a country in Central Africa that got its independence from the Portuguese in 1975. Shortly after their independence, they plunged into a civil war that lasted for 27 years. During the Civil War, it had three major groups, which was the MPLA, which was supported by Cuba and the Soviet Union, which is Russia today. And we also have another group, which is the UNITA. The UNITA was majorly supported by China, South Africa, and the United States of America. During the span of that 27 years, a democratic election was casted, and in the democratic election, 49% of the vote went to the candidate of the MPLA, which is Eduardo dos Santos, who won 49% of the vote. The UNITA group, which has Savimbi as its candidate, got 40%. The group that the Americans was actually supporting did not win the popular vote during those days. After 27 years of the conflict, Angola became stable again and had a peaceful transition of power. Now, after the Civil War, Angola was in need of infrastructure, to rebuild its roads and property which was destroyed during the Civil War. Now, America did not step in because it was not their ally who won the election. China stepped in and built roads, built schools, built airports, built a whole lot of things with their company and with their workers, thereby giving them huge access to their natural resources like diamond, oil, uranium, combat that they had in their country. China have these huge influences. Now, America did not help. They did not only do this to only Angola, but to every other African countries. Africans always view the Americans, assume that they are actually slaves in their hands, as Americans always come with a displeasing statement of human rights, of democracy preaching to a whole lot of African leaders, which is not what they ever want to hear. China always comes with this extending hands of actually building a whole lot of roads, of actually bringing amendments and infrastructure to the society, which every single African leaders will actually prefer instead of preaching democracy and human rights to them. So this is exactly what Joe Biden actually came to Africa to actually correct. He wants more influences. He wants natural resources. He knows that the world cannot actually do without Africa. So he wants those natural resources. So he wants a huge part, a huge chunk of the natural resources, which looks as if it is quite late because China already have a huge influence, not only in Angola, but for the entire Africa. If America truly wants to have an influence, a huge influence in Africa, then America needs consistency and they need to actually admit that Africans can actually make a decision. They have to respect Africans in their own stage and the choices that they actually made for themselves. So it needs consistency and it needs acceptance of the African culture and the way that Africans run their own things. So in the other way around, Africans, I do not believe that we are supposed to actually be helped. We are the only continent which cannot actually be helped in the entire world. We are the only continent that can live on its own amongst every single continent in the world. We are the only continent that every single continent cannot live without. We have every single natural resources that we should have enough for us to be able to be sustained. But African seems never to say this. The leaders of Africans seems never to say this. But we have the capacity to actually not wait for China or for America to come and bring infrastructure to our society. So this is actually coming out from Reverend Utokafo Adachko. Thank you very much. If you have not subscribed, what are you still waiting for? We will see you in our next episode.